Smell of a warm cake, the taste it leaves in your mouth, curling up, watching a movie with cake and drinking milk. Don't even get me started on cake over ice cream. Today, I'm going to be telling you and teaching you how to make my favorite cake, wacky cake, which it is a chocolate cake, but the history behind its name, wacky, is because it was made in the Great Depression when there was a scarce supply of milk and eggs, so this cake doesn't have any milk or eggs in it. And today I'll be using these ingredients to make this cake so then you can make it for yourself and for your loved ones. First, you're going to need to mix all the ingredients, but you're also going to need to set your oven to 350 degrees so then when you're done mixing all of your ingredients, you can just immediately put it in the oven. You can mix these ingredients, like the dry ingredients in one bowl and the wet ingredients in another bowl, but that doesn't really matter to me, so I just fix them all in the same bowl. So first, you're gonna need your bowl, and I already pre-portioned most of these out because it'd be a pain in the butt to do it here, so, and for time purposes. So first you're gonna need 1 1/2 cup of flour, and 1 cup of sugar. Then you're gonna need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So this is my teaspoon measuring spoon. And then I just get a good amount and kind of overflow the spoon. I don't know if you can see that. And then I shake it so then it evens out with the spoon. And then you're gonna need 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So this is my tablespoon. And I just do the same thing that I did with the baking soda. You're also gonna need a pinch of salt, which I just poured a good amount in here, so I'm just gonna take a pinch of it. Oh my gosh. So I actually forgot them over here. And then you're gonna need 5 tablespoons of melted butter, so then it's easier to mix into the batter. And then 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and then this is gonna have a reaction with the baking soda, so it's gonna bubble up and it's kind of cool. And you're also gonna need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm with Sadie, I like a lot of vanilla, so I usually put more in there, but. And then you need 1 cup of cold water. Okay, and then now it's time to mix because that's all your ingredients. And then while you're mixing, you want to make sure that everything is mixed in evenly, and make sure that there's no chunks in the batter, because it's kind of just disgusting when you take a bite out and you get a whole chunk of butter or baking soda. And then a little backstory on how I learned how to make this cake is my grandma used to make this cake all the time with her mom. So when I was 10 years old, she just taught me how to make it. So I really like this cake, so I make it every once in a while. Okay, and then when you have your batter mixed all the way through, then you're ready to bake. But first, you need to spray your pan with this Pam Baking Perfect Release spray. So then when you cut your cake, then it doesn't stick to the bottom and you can get all of the cake out. So you just want to spray all sides and the bottom. And then I take a paper towel just so that it's not too greasy. And I like get all the excess, but go around all sides of the pan again just to make sure it gets every corner. Okay, and then you can put all of this into the cake, or into the pan. So I take my spatula and I get everything out of the whisk first. And then I also use a spatula to get all of the batter off the sides of the bowl. And then if you want to, you can leave a little extra in the bowl if you like eating the batter. And then I also use the spatula to spread it out evenly in the pan, and make it just look a little bit nicer. Like if you were going somewhere and you're gonna sell this cake or something like that, or you're going to a friend's house or something, you kind of want it to look nice. And then it's time to put it in the oven, and you put it in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes. And then once that 30 minutes is up, I was taught this also by my grandma, is that you take a toothpick and you put it in the middle of the cake. So with this cake that I already made, I put a toothpick in the middle and it came out clean, so I knew that cake was done. So when the cake is done, let it cool for around 10 minutes, and then once that 10 minutes is up, you can cut into your cake and start eating it. You want to make sure that you cool it so then it doesn't fall apart because it's too hot when you cut it up. So how I like to do this is I make 2 cuts across, and then I do 2 down the middle. So you can get 9 pieces, which I'll cut them into smaller so then everyone can get a piece, but that's how I cut them just because I like big pieces of cake. But now you guys will all be able to make wacky cake on your own, and you also have an amazing story to tell people when you make them this cake if they ask how you learned how to do it. To remind you, this cake was made in the Great Depression, so it lacks milk and eggs because they didn't have any milk and eggs during the Great Depression. So that's what makes it wacky. So enjoy this cake, and thank you for listening to my speech.